Welcome to Grove of the Gods, everyone. I'm Morgan Hornman. Today I'm joined by Maria Schell. Welcome to the show, Maria. It's really nice to have you.
Thank you, Morgan, so much. I appreciate you inviting me to be on Grove of the Gods. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to get a chance to talk to you. We've kind of been in peripheral friend connections and stuff, and so I'd like to learn more about you. It's a wonderful opportunity for me. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, my pleasure.
For the folks that are listening and not necessarily reading the description and information below where they can get all of your bio, could you give me a short one so people can get familiar with you really quick?
Sure. So I have been on a pagan path since 1989 when I went to my first pagan gathering at Lothlorien Nature Sanctuary in Indiana.
Oh, nice start.
Yeah. I had a friend who was like, you guys are pagans, you just don't know it yet. So you should come and camp and like hang out with other pagans and see if it's a fit. It most definitely was a fit.
Right on.
So yeah, I've been in the craft for over 30 years now. I would describe myself as eclectic Wiccan, but also as of late with a broader, more omnis sort of perspective on the fact that all right roads, intentions, and heartfelt inspirations are roads to Rome, if you will, leading us back to Source and Creator. So let's see. I have run several covens throughout the years. I am currently the crone of the Temple of Roses here in Dayton, Ohio. I am also the owner of Baba Yaga's Hut, which is a local product and services business that offers all natural self-care products, spell bottles, incenses, herbal concoctions. Yeah,
you got it all.
A little bit of everything.
Right on.
Tarot and Oracle services. I host public events for all of the holidays on the Wheel of the Year. And then I'm also the founder of the Magical Mastermind program, which is an online portal for spiritual mentorship and training. I'm currently teaching a meditation series, a guided meditation series, that when it is finished will be available as a digital series as well, so that people can utilize that in their own time and space. So my level of service is in a blossoming phase right now.
Right on.
Yeah, got my fingers in all kinds of pots. So and figuring out how I can be of the highest service to the people that I encounter. So.
I feel you on that. I feel it. So how did you find your path? I mean, that's a lot that you've been doing over the years. How did you get started? I mean, you went to the ritual at Lothlorien, and so after that, what happened?
Well, I was raised by hippies in the 60s and 70s, and so I had a natural proclivity for things that were a little bit outside the box, things that were a little bit different. When I was a kid, we didn't go stay in hotels when we traveled. We camped, we hiked, we canoed. We were really in nature. So when I found my feet on the path, my very first reaction was to drag other people to the path.
As you do,
as one does.
Find friends.
So within a year of my first festival, I had started my own coven. And I have always been very blessed that ritual design is one of the gifts that I received from Source. And so partly based on what few books I could get my hands on at the time that I started my training, and partly just based on intuitive guidance that I was receiving from Source, I was able to create ceremonies and workshops and events that were moving the needle for people. That initial coven was probably 5 or 6 years old as people began to marry and move and get jobs, and the natural course of that container had run its length.
Right.
And since then, I have been part of women's covens. I have served other people's covens. I have practiced as a solitary witch throughout my career. And then about 8 years ago, I got a series of prophetic dreams, which is usually how spirit shakes me awake, that led me to write my book, which is called Reflections Grimoire of a Modern Witch. And within a year of that, I had placed my feet onto this path full time.
Nice.
Yeah, so I still work a part-time job, like getting my solvency up and at full speed. The shutdown, of course, was a barrier for a lot of people. Now that has stopped for the near future, hopefully.
Theoretically.
Yeah, getting back up to speed and also re-examining where I placed my feet on the path 6 years ago, 7 years ago, realizing that my understanding of the service I was going to be offering to my community has changed. And so, every winter, of course, it's time to dive in and do some shadow work. And I've been doing mine this winter. And it's brought some new things to bear, some new opportunities to serve that maybe I hadn't considered before, but were like always right there in my vortex waiting for me to realize them. So
it's always nice when they take their clue by four and remind you, hey, we've been trying to shove you towards this for a few years. You haven't noticed it yet.
Yeah.
Here, let's make it a little more obvious.
Right. Yeah, and in perfect timing, so it is some of what I am offering or going to be offering this year is a culmination of experiences and skill sets that I have built over time that I would not have even been capable of offering in a prior version of who I am today. So, those things are popping off for me.
That's awesome.
It's definitely going to change the direction of how I have been working, but in all kinds of good and exciting ways. So
that's fantastic. Well, and we're on this path to grow and change.
Yes.
And if you don't, you don't tend to stay on the path. And so finding new avenues to expand yourself and branch out.
Yeah.
We are trees to a point.
Funny how the whole nature thing.
You get rooted, then you branch out. Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
So you're solitary, but you work with other covens. How do you connect?
Well, I have a very large and diverse pagan community in my town. I live in Dayton, Ohio. We have a large organization called the Dayton Pagan Coalition that's been around for more than 30 years, and so they hold various events. But in addition to that, we have several retail spaces and people with spiritual skills and training that they are offering within the community, as far as Reiki healing, sound therapy, massage therapy, meditation, ceremonies and circles. There's a lot going on. And as a matter of fact, I've been in the community so long now that it is almost difficult for me to find time to focus on what I'm doing and get out into the community to still be able to touch those aspects of local service, right?
Right.
And still elevate myself into a higher level of service. So that's part of my challenge right now. But I'm extremely blessed to have a relationship with a shop here locally that offers my products.
Cool.
That has given me a space in which to offer my base level Magic for Beginners course.
Okay.
Which is a 8-part series and in magic, elements and sun and moon holidays and discovering your divinity and sort of the history and future of magic and why it's important, right?
Right on.
Yeah, I am. 2 weekends from now, I'll be working with a friend of mine who just opened a craft studio here locally to offer an intention candle workshop that includes a 3-card tarot reading in the price of the event.
Very cool. Very cool.
I am meeting next week with the elder members of the Coven of the Rose, the Temple of the Rose, in order to firm up our bylaws.
Cool.
Personally meet some of the sisters and brothers from that coven that I only know as an online presence right now. So we're going to.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
that's
exciting.
Exciting.
That's actually a very new opportunity that kind of fell out of the sky for me. 3 months ago, I didn't even know that this coven existed, and I've now met with their high priestess. We had tea, and it was inspiring. She's an amazing person, and wanted to involve me in the coven. And I felt that my role that I could offer to that puzzle was as a crone, as a spiritual advisor, as someone who has her back as she rises this temple. So yeah, all kinds of things, spirit will, when you are paying attention, drop these signs and symbols and synchronicities into your path. You just have to be paying enough attention to snag them up when they land, and see where they lead you. So yeah, excited about that. My following and my community of other leaders and change agents has grown a lot over the last year.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I'm lucky to have a bunch of beautiful mirrors of some really dynamic, divine, feminine leadership to help me learn my way, build the plane while I'm in the air, as it were. Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So, are there specific deities you work with, or tell me a little bit about your personal path?
So I originally came to know Hera as my matron goddess. And I have worked with her, and I wear the name Peacock within the pagan community. She has been my primary goddess figure for the entirety of my worship in this way. Okay. But I have been very blessed to not have had a traditional training in which I was brought up into my spirituality.
Right.
It has forced me to learn about all kinds of traditions and modalities and cultures. And basically how I work now is that while I am still using what would be considered a Wiccan format for ceremony, I am, as I design my ceremonies and workshops, I sit in meditation and I call for inspiration or for an audience. And I wait to see what Mother, Father, God what aspect of their love wants to be heard and seen at this time. And then I allow that feeling or theme or inspiration, if you will, if it's not audience with a specific deity, which sometimes it is, to lead me toward the god or goddess or culture that best represents that intention for magical working. And so throughout the years, I have done foot bathing and high tea to Kuan Yin and Amaterasu. I have done shadow work with Inanna and Ereshkigal. I have done Summer Olympics to honor Apollo at the summer solstice. I have called upon Hecate to light our way into the darkness. Mm-hmm. I have channeled Baba Yaga to provide insight to people improvisationally as they came to me within a ceremony and presented their question. I've worked with Aphrodite and done some sacred sex magic that would, blow the sky open. And just been very blessed to realize that the path almost doesn't matter as much as it does the feeling of connection to your own divinity, that piece of you which is intrinsically connected to Mother, Father, God at all times. And to be able to, place your humanity to the side for a moment and remember your sacred soul, which knows perfectly, of course, how to do all of this miraculous magic. And yeah, so.
Very cool.
God only knows who I will work with next. But they're very clear when they come to me about who that will be. I just have to ask, and I shall receive.
You're lucky. I get told as it's about to come out of my mouth.
Well, that happens sometimes too. Don't get me wrong. And I'm like, oh wow, did I just say that out loud? And it's funny too.
I don't remember ever calling them before. Okay, this is going to be fun.
One of the things that actually was a blessing, both in writing the book, which I've had in part read back to me a couple of times, and in doing online ceremonies during the shutdown, is that those are recorded, and then I have the ability to go back and look at them. And honestly, I always want to be in a space of, being a critic of those videos,
right?
On how can I improve them? How can I serve better the next time around? Looking at the technical aspects or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm always rather surprised, and my heart is really opened by the fact that my channel was so open. Like most of it, I don't remember the details of. I remember, doing it and being it, but to look at the recording of it later, I'm like, wow, holy shit, that really came through in a powerful way that I could not have crafted on my own.
I completely understand. Yeah. I go through that every full moon and high holiday ritual. Right. And my coveners are entertained by it because I just go away. And I mean, I know that I'm there, but I'm certainly not the person speaking. And I certainly don't know what I said during ritual.
Yeah.
And half the time, the ones that are driving don't care about doing the pieces of the ritual.
No, once you're in the zone and the portal is open, then it is.
Exactly. And I'll stand up and, okay, it's time to invoke, and I'll go through and I'll call all the quarters, invoke God and Goddess. What did I miss? Right. I didn't light any candles.
Yeah. I remember in that ritual to Baba Yaga, answering their questions as each of them came around to present them, and hearing the Russian accent and thinking to myself in the third person, I wonder if this sounds cheesy or but it wasn't a choice on my part. It's the deeper the channel became, the more it began to express itself through that in that way. And I'm pretty sure that it was exactly as it should have been. But being in that third person, in that observer role in your own ritual is interesting.
Yeah. Being ridden is a very intense experience, especially when you don't know what's going on or other people around you don't realize. Yeah. and sorry, that's been one of the bonuses of the foundation I have in the coven, because we have some transients, because we're open to pretty much anybody that comes to ritual. Sure. But we also have our core.
Right.
And so they're able to explain, no, he'll be okay. He's just going to ramble for about 5-10 minutes, and then we'll do we'll do the ritual, the rest of it. Yeah. But he's going to ramble, and he's not going to have any control, and he's going to all of a sudden snap out and go, "Oh, hi.
Yeah.
I'm back. I should shut up now."
Yeah. 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 There's some, luckily it's not quite as abrupt a transition for me. I can feel the channels sort of waning slowly as I ground myself into the presence of the others within that sacred space, right? Because I still need to lead them into a grounding process. And then that helps me to pull completely back from the channel and regain autonomy, right? But for, as much as one can.
Yeah. I'm in the arguing constantly stage. I don't want to do that. Yeah. I mean, I'll do it, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah, there are these things,
What are you the most passionate about on your path?
So the thing I am the most passionate about is working with, well, there are a couple things. One is working to empower women who have had their power entrained out of them.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
As a victim of sexual abuse, and as someone who frequently gave their power away in their younger years.
I understand.
I have come to realize that no amount of happiness can be achieved in attempting to hit a moving target. That happiness comes from within and goes outward.
Right. Because everything external constantly changes.
Yes.
The goalpost constantly moves if you base your contentedness or pretty much anything on external sources.
And, learning that that aloneness is not necessarily loneliness, and that toxicity is not a good replacement for internal sovereignty. So there's that. And then the other thing, which is more of a macro calling, if you will, is that I am aware that we are on a really dark path as a human race.
Okay.
We have become separated from the Mother Earth.
I agree.
And it is in this separation and in the habits and behaviors of self-gratification and instant attainment and satisfaction and glorification that we have created isolation and a separateness that keeps us from realizing our own divinity.
Right.
The symbiotic relationship that we must have with other members of our tribe, mankind,
right,
and with the Mother itself. We are receiving numerous shots across the bow of the spaceship mankind. And yet we just keep blithely rolling along like it's someone else's problem, it's someone else's job. It's not that bad yet. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's a reflection of the gaslighting that we do to ourselves on a day-to-day basis, and it's a reflection of the cycle of that, because it's a cutting off. Gaslighting is a cutting off of our brains from ourselves, our bodies, removing the intuition, removing the communication, and we gaslight ourselves constantly in multiple ways, whether it be emotionally, physically, whatever. And we're doing the exact same thing with our connection to the earth and shutting it off. And we've been doing that progressively, and you and I and others of our type
Yes.
are working to fix that and reverse that trend and bring about a reconnection to the earth so that we as a species
Right.
can A, survive, and B, actually contribute
Yes.
instead of take.
Yes. We are we will be in March, fully in the age of Aquarius.
Right.
It has been foretold that we as a species, as a rainbow family, will come together and be our salvation. But there's also, the laws of nature, which say that, or of perpetual motion, which say that an object in motion will stay in motion, and an object at rest will stay at rest. Right now, we have too many people at rest in the comfort and complacency of this 3D paradigm.
Agreed.
And we do not have enough momentum behind the furtherance of our soul's true purpose. But we are in a time of great expansion and awakening for our species. There is much discord and discontentment in the world because people can feel that what they've been doing is not working. And yet they have been told that it's the only way that it works, right? So they're in this constant battle with themselves over what they are feeling they should lean into, how they can raise up their own awareness and interconnectivity, and still fulfilling these gender and social roles that we've been and trained to believe are our way of identifying our importance with society and the world, with the people that we care about. And really all that does is squash the part of us that causes trouble. That says, no, this is not the way. It takes a very small number of us who are consciously aware of our interconnectivity and our divine co-creation of reality to swing the fulcrum over to the other side. Some estimate around 75 million of us, to change the momentum of what is in motion and what is at rest. Right fucking now is when that needs to happen. Pardon my language. Right now, not 10 years from now, not 20 years from now, well, 2050 seems like, no.
Agreed.
Stop the madness. Now, personal ownership, personal responsibility, personal development, personal healing, personal empowerment, personal enlightenment. And from this overflowing cup, then we pour out. Yeah. I could go on.
Well, no, and you're right. It is a matter of taking the reins of our lives. And after we take the reins of our lives, we'll realize just how out of control the rest of the world is, those of us who aren't already aware. Yeah. And that's what will add to that momentum as people become more aware and reverse the trends of society. Yes. And this is kind of a theme in a lot of the interviews I've done, is talking about how society has intentionally squashed the individual. That time is over.
Yes.
That is part of Aquarius. Right. It is the establishment of the individual as a significant part of the collective, not a cog only.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think, this is part of the challenge, too, of the path we walk, because when we become aware, when we see Grandpa in his underwear, we are then pushed to a point of put up or shut up. Yeah. A lot of people are afraid with the put up and they stop trying. They feel overwhelmed and uncertain, and the feedback that they're getting from the people that they care about the most is often fear or judgment or denial or are you crazy or some kind of thing that makes them question the validity of their own calling.
Right.
They need people, other people, to look at and go, well, she's doing it over there, or he's doing it over there. And as a matter of fact, not only are they not crazy, but they're kind of brilliant. They're kind of successful. They're kind of abundant. They're kind of inspired. They're kind of a leader and a change maker. And it's getting past our own break point. Realizing that if we were going to break, we'd have done it already. So many of us with this calling have been forged in the fire of trauma throughout our lifetimes, preparing us for this, this calling, for this moment. And those who are just beginning to feel that within them, awakening within them, I'm out here like a big fat sign that says, it's okay. You can do it. We're doing it. The more of us that do it, the more okay it is.
Right.
Hop on board the Magical Mystery Tour. It's a fun ride.
Well, there's a level of cognitive dissonance that people have to go through and break through, that seeing those examples. And I'll go ahead and throw this out here. As pagans, we are reviled by the concept of evangelism. Yeah. However, we have pagan evangelists. We do it different. Yeah. We do it by the example of our lives and being out in front and setting a banner to call people to, but not going, hey, our banner's the best.
Right.
We go, hey, you should make your own banner.
Exactly. And when we wave them all together, it will create a beautiful rainbow of color and light and beauty.
Exactly. It's a sea that can't be overturned.
Exactly.
So, yeah. How do you put change in motion in your life? Do you do magic? Do you do intent? How do you focus that? Or is there multiple ways?
Well, every day I have sort of a process that I follow in the morning.
Okay.
I do some amount, usually 15 to 30 minutes of meditation or prayer. Then I do somewhere 15 to 30 minutes of some kind of study.
Okay.
Also, I would recommend to people to put 15 to 30 minute movement exercise into that morning routine.
Okay.
I happen to work in the restaurant industry, so I get plenty of movement every single day.
I understand.
And really, it is more for me about not having the impulse to do and go and act and think my way before I have sat in peace and silence and calm and allowed my heart and my intuition or my guides to show me a direction for the day. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I don't have a list of shit that needs to be accomplished and places to be and times that has to happen. But
right.
But when I take that time in the morning to set an intention of calm and peace, of things are always working out for me, and so I'm going to be in the ease and flow of perfect timing as I go throughout my day. Okay. Mentally scripting, visualizing how I want my day to flow so that if, in fact, as it becomes reality, it matches my inner vision. Mm-hmm. But then I also take time for self-care and use some beautiful body butters that I make from all natural ingredients to slow down on my days off. To care for each part of my body instead of just like shower in, out. I work in a very male-dominated industry, so I go out of my way when I am not doing that to embrace my more feminine side.
Wonderful.
To Lately, I have been really adoring activities that allow me to utilize all five of my senses and really be present in experiencing those moments. I do spells and incantations as well. I actually create these little spell bottles that have various intentions that I sell in the shop up the street. But those items that I am now offering to the public are because I needed or wanted them for some kind of reason.
Right.
This apothecary behind my head is not just for show, it's for go. So I'm working with crystals, I'm working with stones, I'm working with herbs and flowers. I'm working with tinctures and balms. I'm working with different resins and powders to make incenses that have intention.
Okay.
I make herbal teas that lend themselves to healing, to lucid dreaming, to inviting in more intuitive, more trusting of the intuitive senses. And then stuff like cough and cold and, anti-stress and, true love. Sacred sexuality is also a very powerful tool.
Right.
And I'm not quite as wild mad about it as I was when I was a bit younger, but only because my body reminds me that I'm not a bit younger.
It happens to us.
But being in the adornment and worship of my partner and kneeling before that altar is also one of the magical tools that I have at my disposal. So my practice over time, there's not one square inch in my house that doesn't have some magic woven into it somewhere.
Right.
It's who I am now. It's not what I do. Obviously it's what I do, but
absolutely.
But it comes from a place of I am. I am goddess. I am priestess. I am mage. I am daughter of the divine. And then everything else comes from there, right?
Right.
What do I need to do to manifest that? Let's see. Spell book, sit and receive and receive.
What is the most magical experience you've ever had that you're willing to share? I always put that part on.
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple, Actually, one of the most amazing things I've ever personally witnessed was at Lothlorien years ago. And we had been at festival for 2 or 3 days, and it had been raining. Now, it wasn't raining real hard, but just enough that you couldn't get dry, you couldn't get warm, couldn't get your campsite straightened around, because every time you got out of the tent, you started to move around, socialize, go to the bathroom, it would start to rain again.
Right.
Pretty much the entire camp had decided at this point that some magical intervention was necessary because we were all getting kind of salty about the whole thing.
Right.
And so they came into an area of the camp called Lightning Shrine, where we hold our maypole dances in the summer. And the ritual began. And they began to perform ceremony, and drummers were drumming. And I actually had been kind of dealing with something in camp, and so I wasn't in the circle itself. I was off on the side of the circle, trying to make it that direction, but kind of dealing with my little kids and whatever.
Yeah.
And then as the drumming continued and the ritual continued, the rain got harder and harder, and it just poured. I mean, the sky opened up and it poured and poured. Now, in every setting I've ever been in, every drummer in the land would be running for cover, right? To cover their drum head, to cover their wood.
You got to protect that head.
They drummed and they drummed,
oh, wow.
and it got louder and more intense. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then at the height of the ritual, when they'd raise the cone of power, da-da-da-da-da-da, boom! and a vortex opened in the sky above our heads and began to spin in a circle out, until the whole sky was clear and blue and the sun was shining. And it took about a minute.
Fantastic.
It was the most miraculous exhibition of magic I had ever seen. Yeah, bravo.
Right on.
Yeah. So, it is a reminder to me when more than one of us is gathered together with intention, big shit happens. And that's the other reason why I do what I do. The more of us who get on the bus, the bigger shit we can make happen.
Exactly.
It's all available to us out there in the vortex. We just need to step into the vortex and be part of the ride.
What is the biggest lesson you've learned on your path about yourself?
That I am a complete unit, that I do not need approval, that I do not need permission, that I am a perfect creation, that I am not limited by the opinion or demands of others, and that it is not my job to make other people happy, that I have the power to co-create any version of reality that I can achieve, dream of. A lot, but mainly a definite love and appreciation of and recognition of self. And it's allowed me to stop self-sabotaging for the most part, to stop being some kind of like masochistic people pleaser, and to draw boundaries, to understand what I'm a fuck yes for and a fuck no for.
Right.
And to be in loving cooperation with everything that falls in between.
That's a big step.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's amazing.
Oh,
Thank you for sharing.
I still get tweaked,
Well, yeah.
But that's also part of the human process, right?
Exactly.
Is recognizing when you're in your humanity and being able to shift that energy into something more divine.
Right. So. Right on. Is there an individual or teacher that specifically has had a huge impact on your path and your beliefs? Any one specific person or group?
Well, I have to, of course, give a shout out to the founders and elders of Lothlorien Nature Sanctuary, where I started my practice.
Located in Bloomington, south of Bloomington,
exactly,
for folks
south
that
of
don't
Bloomington,
know.
Indiana.
We might have some other folks from Lothlorien on here soon. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. They are getting it done, and have been for a long time.
Yeah.
And actually, I was just during the shutdown, I was blessed to be able to hold an online auction where where members of their community donated hand-created items that we then turned around and sold through Facebook group auction, and raised about $6,500 between the sales and the renewed memberships through that campaign.
Fantastic.
And so they gifted me a lifetime membership as my reward for my endeavors there. So yeah.
That's very cool.
Just reached out to me to see if I will come teach some kind of workshop at Elfest this year. Probably be there.
Sweet.
Yeah. And then hopefully they're going to accept me teaching a couple workshops at Starwood this year. So
right on.
Yeah, anyway, I would say in the beginning that Starhawk, the spiral dance, was probably one of the most motivating factors in allowing me to move forward. I had never been exposed to the Charge of the Goddess through Doreen Valiente, but I was exposed to it through Starhawk's book. And it definitely called to the sacred feminine within me to rise to this path. Oberon Zell Ravenheart, I want to give a shout out to, who is one of the founders of the Church of All Worlds in California. He is an amazing gift in the field of quantum consciousness. And I've heard him speak several times live. You got to have all of your mental faculties strapped in for that ride, but super inspiring.
Yeah.
Right now, Robin Rivera is one I would shout out to, because she is blowing up in the online realm through being a shamana and a spiritual mentor. I trained with her for 12 weeks about a year ago, and was able to go and sit in one of her sacred ceremonies and her business conferences last April. And I have met a plethora of beautiful, empowered female goddesses who are now part of my community, and beautiful mirrors for me to emulate.
Awesome.
Yeah, the community, that it's an experience that keeps on giving once you are immersed within community. And I am the first to admit that even though I am able to teach some of these techniques now, I am still a student.
It never stops.
Yeah, no, nor should it. It is all in reaching the actualization of this human existence, and sharing that with the divine, who can, in its perfection, not know what that experience is like, right? We're doing that and translating that into source, teaching it how to best serve us, because it is complete. It doesn't know this feeling of like incompleteness, right, that we experience as human beings. So yeah, put the pieces of the puzzle together, getting it all geared up, ready to I don't know, do big things and go out with a bang, I guess.
Right on. So who are some of your favorite authors?
Well, right now I'm really jamming on Estrella Taylor and Jason Mankey. Both of them are prolific writers under the Llewellyn publication brand, which of course is premier in pagan literature.
Right.
I was blessed to be one of a few people chosen to write a passage for their most recent book, Modern Witchcraft of the Greek Gods, which came out in December. And so I am giving them a shameless plug here. Run out and get that book. I almost don't read nonfiction anymore. Fiction anymore.
Yeah.
I have a limited amount of time to sit and divest into literature. So almost everything I read is about magic or spirituality or gods and goddesses or techniques for healing and empowerment, about law of attraction, about I find I have very little time to sit in front of the television, but when I do, I'm usually watching a documentary of some kind, or I am watching YouTube videos of meditation music at certain hertz levels and trying to like balance my chakras. And I'm over the top. I'm just a nut, right?
Right.
Everything that I do is in pursuit of my enlightenment and ascension. And that's actually one of my lessons right now for this year and this shadow journey is that I have got to bring more spontaneity and play back into what I'm doing. So yeah, I have a couple of different things that will be coming up in 2023 that are inspired and a little bit different than anything I have ever done. But the main thing I'm doing right now is asking people in the community how I can serve them. It is in the service of others that I find joy. So, yeah.
I understand. I do.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time serving the community myself, so I understand the rewards that it can be.
Yeah. Well, and I've read the magic. I've read the Book of Ceremony. I've read 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. I've read The Power of Now. I've read, I mean, there's a bunch of, and I'm reading, Coven Crafting. Yeah. I'm reading Advanced Witchcraft. I'm reading mainly just to make sure that I'm not missing pieces of the information, or can broaden the information that I'm offering to my students and clients at this time. And then, of course, I always learn something in the process of revisiting those older manuals and books. So,
well, when we go back and read those things that we read so long ago, we've gained so much knowledge and wisdom that we're able to look at it with new eyes.
Exactly.
And it's not quite as boring as you'd think.
Like, holy crap, this was in here all along. I missed that on my first read somehow. Yeah.
Absolutely. And one of my prior guests was talking about making notes in the margins of her books.
Right.
And things that she saw as things that she wanted to put intent in, and then going back and looking through the book 6 years later and going, oh, wow, I do that daily. I do that daily. I do that daily. And I didn't even think about that this is the source.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And it's wonderful seeing the confirmation.
Yes.
And the progress.
Yes.
The personal progress.
Those, yeah. Yeah, it's often
absolutely.
We're so busy being present and working forward that we don't take the time to appreciate where we've come from. And it's those things that put us where we are right now.
Right.
But recognizing those without going back and reliving them is a challenge. So
it is. Yeah. It is. Tell me a little bit more about your book. You talked about it briefly when you were talking when you were doing your intro bio.
I'm not sure it's really still in print because I got hooked up with a publication company that went out of business and took everyone's money.
Oh no!
But luckily, my book was able to be put in print before that happened. And for a while, it was listed on Amazon, but the last time I searched for it, I didn't find it. But anyway.
Oh. That's odd.
I had been sitting with my Book of Shadows, which was my personal handwritten Book of Shadows, which was getting kind of faded and beat up and dog-eared, and I had decided to start to transcribe those things into the computer. And simultaneously, I was also getting prophetic dreams that were recurring the same dream over and over and over and over and over, which is how I know that they're a message, right? So...
Right.
I've been getting training ones when I was young as a kid, and then the more advanced as I got older. But finally, when as I was doing the transcription, I realized that I had enough material there to write a book, because I'd literally performed every single rite, every holiday, every moon phase, every life event that we recognize in the pagan calendar. And so I began to take this material and turn it into a book. And about halfway through that process, then the dreams finally stopped, which is how I know I landed it, right? And I'm like, thank you, God. Of course, now I'm working on getting my dreams to come more freely, because I kind of shut myself off a little bit after that phase. My dreams have not been as free flowing as they used to be. Just dreaming random shit, you know what I'm saying? But anyway.
Yeah.
The book is a 3-parter. So the first part is the basic tenets of witchcraft and who I am and kind of how I practice eclectically. The second part is all the holidays on the wheel of the year and how we celebrate those and the importance of those. And then the third part of the book is all about life stages, birth and awakening, coming of age, initiation, hand fasting, ordination, croning and saging, and then of course end of life.
Okay.
When my mother passed, I was honored to hold her end of life ceremony. So that was the final piece of my puzzle there.
Yeah.
So that's the book in a nutshell. It's about 180 pages, give or take.
Right on.
And I actually just sold the last few copies that I personally owned. Didn't sell them. I gave them as gifts to my students.
Right on.
But yeah, I've thought about reaching out to the publishing company to see if I could get a few more copies. I've also thought about sitting with it and adding some pieces to it and republishing in the future. So we'll see what Spirit wants to lead me to in that area. But
Right on. Right on.
yeah.
What piece of wisdom would you like to share to somebody new to their path?
Laugh. You're going to encounter a lot of things that seem a little bit weird, a lot of ideas that seem kind of strange. Some of them will appeal to you. Some of them won't. Follow your heart. Don't trust what other people tell you is the right or wrong way. Trust yourself and feel into what is right for you. Don't worry about what other people think. They'll get over it. And there's no wrong way to be in a relationship with Source. Just have faith and be. And they'll meet you halfway.
Do you have a goal related to your path right now? Do you have a purpose you're working towards?
So, my main goal, long-term goal, is to run a retreat center.
Okay.
Where we will be able to offer classes and workshops on a full-time basis, but then also sits on a pretty major piece of land where I can hold festivals and gatherings in the summertime.
I'm familiar.
Yeah, exactly. Something almost exactly like Wisteria would be perfect, actually, but I want it to also be the place I live. I want to have my house and my land all there together because I'm going to be 60 this year. And a lot of this, hours long travel to get to community is getting hard on me. I would love to manifest a place to bring community to me now that I'm getting a little bit older. And to offer a place for people who walk this path and who serve in these ways to call home and to feel supported and guided, and that they can offer their talents and gifts through that endeavor.
Awesome.
Because together we rise, and none of us
Exactly.
individually. And the other goal I have right now is to change the mindset within the collective that poverty and paganism are intrinsically linked.
Right.
I think we as a society have been taught now for thousands of years that, since patriarchy took over for sure, that one cannot be of God and of abundance. I call total horseshit on that. There was a time in antiquity when the holy man or woman of a tribe or community was held in reverence, and they were provided shelter and food and clothing and the best of everyone's works and crops. And their word and deed was cherished and honored. We have gotten so far away from that now that society perceives the role of pastoral care as being exclusive and one that cannot be walked in concert with abundance. And I want to change that narrative.
Right on.
So yeah, some people are calling me on that. They say, hey, it's bullshit that you want to offer your spiritual services at such a high rate. And I say, okay, well, while I'm doing this over here, you can do it for free and we'll see how that works out. Because I've done it for free. I went over $100,000 in debt, had to file bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Because I was unable to heal myself of the mindset of lack. I'm not living in that space anymore. The world, the universe is an abundant place that is full of absolutely everything that we need. We only have to get out of our own way and believe that we are deserving of it, and it will be given. So, yeah, I'm changing that dynamic for me and for anyone else who wants to hop on board.
Right on.
Yeah.
Are there any pagan or spirituality influencers, YouTube channels you follow? Anybody on social media that you follow specifically, or?
There are quite a few. I'm following Abraham Hicks right now. A lot of attraction through YouTube. I follow Robin Rivera. Obviously, I trained under her, so I'm still following her. I'm a member of over 100 groups. Circle of Mother Earth, Circle Sanctuary, the Starwood Group, Wisteria Group. I'm a member of your group. I'm a member of 3 separate Lothlorien groups.
I think we share a lot of group memberships.
Yeah. So, yes.
And my group would be favorite group for the people that don't know.
Yeah, there are a lot of influencers, but there are only a couple, 3 that I really lean into. Abraham Hicks is my jam right now. Law of Attraction. It's all there. I just have to get in proximity, right?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
So that's kind of where my own personal empowerment jam is riding right now.
Right on.
But yeah, and then just being open to learning what's available from people in my local community as I work with them. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. Are there any events or causes that you would like to take a moment to promote right now? We already talked about kind of your coming lineup. This video will probably be published mid-February.
Right.
So,
beginning in the spring, I'm going to be forming a sisterhood circle here in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
You can find out more information by tagging me, hitting me up on my social, which the links are going to be attached to the video, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And then I'm also going to be offering some gourmet cannabis dinners.
Right on.
That'll begin probably spring or summer. I have over 40 years in the restaurant business. I am a professional working chef and an avid follower of the medicine of cannabis. It has provided me with healing and various aspects of my life throughout the years, and some creativity and other things, which I can be in praise for. I'm going to be offering some other types of medicine ceremonies as well.
Okay.
And then I always have my events for the Wheel of the Year.
Okay.
And so, yeah, if you just find me on social under Baba Yaga's Hut, because I can't run events through my personal page. I can share them, but I can't post them there, right? So the events will all be under Baba Yaga's Hut.
Okay.
I am currently teaching a cohort of people for the guided meditation series, but that will be available both as a live series and as a digital series starting in about April.
All right.
I offer a course called Coven Crafting, which is a 10-week journey into how to create your own spiritual community, either locally or online. That'll be coming out this summer. So I got lots of stuff coming.
Fantastic. Yeah. It sounds very abundant, and that's exactly perfect.
Yes, exactly. And now I just figure out how to weave joy and fun and magic into all of those plans, right?
Exactly.
Get that balance.
So we're at the last question.
Okay.
Was there anything I missed that you'd like to tell me about, or that you want to talk about? I think we did pretty good, but I want to make sure that I cover everything.
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome.
Yeah. Reach out, I love my community. I'm going to be sharing some free offers, some master classes, some online ceremonies, some meditations, some activations, like all through the online space. So
very cool.
Just come find me and see what I'm about. I offer many, many blessings to all of you, everyone who will see this broadcast in the future, to you for the opportunity to sit with you and talk about my heart and my soul. and yeah, I think that'll do.
Thank you so much for joining. It's been amazing and wonderful talking to you. Hopefully I'll have you back
Yeah, absolutely.
at a later time so we can revisit and look at what's gone on since we talked now.
Yeah.
And just thank you so very much. I wish you abundance.
Thank you. I wish you abundance and joy and playfulness and, miraculous wonders.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And for everybody watching, we want to say thank you so much for watching. We appreciate if you could like, share, comment, help us with the engagement so we can spread the message and get positive representations of paganism out onto YouTube. Not saying the others are negative, just more of them. We need more representation.
More light,
absolutely.
more
absolutely.
more sharing.
May the Lord and Lady be ever in your hearts. Praise be to Pan. And I hope everybody has an amazing day. Peace, everybody. Salutations. Bye-bye.